All right, so before we get started, top 5 desserts, go.
Ooh, top 5 desserts. And see, I like to bake during the holidays.
Me too.
Oh, and I'll mix like special edition whiskeys in with it.
Okay.
So one was I used Crown Royal, the caramel one. I mixed that into a pecan pie.
Ooh.
So that was one of them. Cheesecake. I absolutely love vanilla bean cheesecake, especially from the Cheesecake Factory. Oh God, it's irresistible.
Mm-hmm.
Bread pudding. Red velvet cake.
Yes.
Red velvet cake and pound cake. And gotta say pound cake. So, yeah.
Okay. I feel that list. For my number one, I'm gonna give you mine. My number one every day of the week, no matter what, chocolate cake.
Oh.
Always been a fan of chocolate cake. Will forever be an advocate of chocolate cake. Number 2, banana pudding.
Oh, okay.
With the vanilla wafers and stuff. Homemade, none of that in the box ish. No, you need to get in there with some milk, some sugar, some flour, and get the whipping. Number 3, I actually enjoy carrot cake now a lot.
It is good.
I had the right person make it for me. And I've been hooked ever since. I love banana bread.
That is good. That's a favorite of my mom's.
And yeah, man, banana bread with a scoop of ice cream. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
And finally, like you said, bread pudding. For the longest, I don't know what it was at like school, but my school had the best banana pudding. I mean, Lord have mercy, the best bread pudding. You see, look, you think I've been drinking? The best bread pudding of all time, and like I never knew what it was officially called because I was a kid, and I think after I grew up from the 5th grade, I never had it again. So I was trying to describe it to like cooks and stuff, like I don't know what it's called.
Oh man.
So I'm sitting here like it's like a pasty, sticky brown with sometimes it might have raisins or like pineapple in it, and it's this lady Shannon Lewis. I think her husband runs G's Haberdashery on I think that's Spring Hill.
I've never been.
She made me 2 pound cakes not pound cakes. Jeez, why am I talking about this? These 2 bread puddings last year in the little pans, little personal ones for Christmas. And she just did it just because I made a status about it. Because I finally figured out what it was called. And I was like, who knows how to make bread pudding? And she was like, I'll do it for you. Just come pick it up. And I'm like,
wow.
Right. And she had a rum glaze over it.
The rum glaze, the whiskey glaze, all of that stuff. Yeah, it is real good.
I was like, you did this for free on a whim? Thank you. Be my friend on Facebook, please. Please. But on that note, thank you for tuning in to another episode of A Business Minute. I'm Sirr, and today I have a recurring guest, Powerlines Poetry President, award-winning, Roslyn Spencer, a.k.a. Catharsis the Poet. Thank you for coming to my home.
Oh, gosh.
And agreeing to another interview. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm always humbled when somebody asks me to do something like this. So thank you so much.
No, man. As that admirer in the room from afar, always been a fan of poetry. And when I came back to Mobile, this is before we did our initial Business Minute, heard you spit, Ray spit, Kay, Zadora, Eternity. I heard a bunch of you guys. It was just at a random open mic. It was just my first time attending, just on a whim. And man, immediate fan.
Oh gosh.
Immediate fan. I love you guys' cadences, and I love your varied styles. Like each one of you bring a different style to the table with your poetry, and it's personal. You really show your flair and your personality through your work. So as a fan, thank you for doing this again.
You blushing and stuff.
It's all right. It might show because you're light skinned. But to those of you who don't know, Roz and I actually performed a previous Business Minute, which was over the phone. And when I got the ability to start doing video interviews, I would like to reconnect with everyone who's done an audio interview, just to show my appreciation and really do a video interview, kind of update to see where everything's going. And that's where we got this idea today. Also, a few things have changed since our last conversation, so we'll get into that in a minute. So to those of you who don't know who Roz is, Roz, could you tell the people what it is that you do?
I do a lot of a little bit of everything, I like to say. Professionally, I'm now, one of the things that's changed, I am a full-time real estate agent.
Hey.
I work for Remax Realty Professionals, and I gotta say I love what I do. Absolutely. And forgive me for going off on this tangent, but it's like when you can help somebody find the home that they want, and that day you get to hand them the keys and know that you were the person that helped them do it, it is a beautiful feeling. It is. So I gotta say, like, I do love what I do, absolutely, professionally. And I guess I don't know if I should call it semi-professionally, but I feel like I'm a little bit of a professional with it.
I think so.
When it comes to poetry, I am a performing poet with Powerlines Poetry. We've been together now. We just celebrated our 7-year anniversary.
Hey.
So yeah, that's a beautiful feeling too. It's just like, you know, when it especially because of how all of us met. And to have this come together and to stay together for 7 years, and when I look back on some of the things that we've done, because every now and then, you know, I'll go back through the page, especially if I'm looking for ideas for new flyers and stuff like that, and I'm like, gosh, we've done a lot of stuff, you know, and it's a beautiful feeling. It is. So I ain't mad at it at all. So yeah, that's me.
All right. Now, if you could just enlighten everyone, how long have you been doing real estate and doing poetry, respectively?
When it came to real estate, I went to school for it, and once I got it, I actually sat on my license for a minute. I did. I sat on it for probably about a year before I activated it. And it's one of those things, because I was working full time, and you know, we get so set, and I know for me, and a lot of other people that I've seen go into business, I got so set and so comfortable in my 9 to 5 that I was really nervous about it. And then I thought about it too. I'm like, you know what? I did not work this hard to get this license to not use it.
Right.
You know, and then I had a couple of other people tell me that, one in particular, and they know who they are, but yeah, you don't work, you know, like you work 9 to 5. And for myself, I learned better in a classroom. So I went to the night classes that started at 5:30, didn't end till 9. So it was like on Tuesday and Thursdays, like I was just spent, you know. And it's like when you've been out of school for a long time, I ain't gonna tell my age, but when you've been out of school for a long time, it's hard to get back into that rhythm of studying and taking exams and stuff like that. But all of that came into play, you know, and I was like, yeah, okay, let's go on and do this. So I went the long way of answering your question, but I think I was officially licensed at the end of 2016, and toward the end of, what was it, the middle? It was either the middle or the end of 2017 when I activated it. And then with that, I was kind of just dipping my toe in and only doing it on weekends. So I kind of took my time with that. So ever since then, and I think after about 6 months of doing it part time, I said, you know what, let's just go all the way in, you know. I mean, but it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was scary, because to go from receiving a salary every 2 weeks, you know, to now depending on commission and knowing that what it is basically you shape what it is that you do, you know. I mean, and sometimes that means, you know, 7-day weeks, 10 to 12 hour days and stuff like that. But in the end, it's worth it. It is worth it. So I don't know if I answered your question correctly, but yeah, that's what I do professionally, and how long I've been an agent. When it comes to poetry, I like to say that I got started with poetry probably in 2005. And my start with that is that the way it started is I was asked to be a part of a production of the Vagina Monologues at South Alabama. And it kind of sparked something in me. Okay. Because I'd always written little poems and short stories that I had never dreamed of sharing on stage. But when I did that, I was like, I'm nervous, but this is kind of cool, you know. And I first did that in 2005, and then they brought me back for a second production of it in 2006 at South Alabama. And it just so happened what they did was they turned the event into a whole weekend. They had it once at South Alabama in the Performing Arts Center, and then they had one in, it's not Bay Minette, I think it was Foley. I think it was Foley that they had it in. But and then that next day after that, they had a poetry reading related to it at Satori Coffee House. And so by then I had written my first heartbreak poem. And
those are the best.
Oh yeah. And I decided I was going to perform it there. And I thank God there was a stand, because my hands were shaking so bad that I didn't want to hold the paper, and you could hear the trembling in my voice. I mean, it was something else. But by the time I was done, like, everybody was like, "Wow, that was kind of cool. You should do it again." So I kind of went with that. Like, I was nervous, but I knew I wanted to do it again. And so from there, I met Chris. Some people know her as Ani Baraka on Facebook. I met her, and she took me to chemistry, and because I think chemistry now is O'Daly's.
Yeah.
And that's where I saw Huggy, I saw Cara, I saw Eternity, I saw everybody, and I sat back and I was just like, wow, like, they are absolutely amazing. And it just so happened what I did was I started semi-stalking them. Yeah, I just wherever there was a poetry venue, I followed them, and I'd been doing poetry ever since. Cool. I just kind of fell in love with it. Again, I know I went off on another tangent.
No, that's listen. If we may take a pause for the interview, this is your show.
Okay.
Anything you want to talk about, we're going to go down that road.
Gotcha.
This is your episode. So if you don't have any other time to talk about you, go for it.
Gotcha.
All right.
Gotcha.
I had a question though, regarding that poem that was emotionally vested that you did about the heartbreak. Was it just the nervousness of sharing that, or was it the nerves of being nervous and the actual event, kind of? Or was it split?
It was a little bit of both, and the added nervousness to it. There was a third component. The person that I wrote it about was sitting in the front row.
Oh.
So,
oh. Wow.
Oh gosh.
Now that's different.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, it was. Oh gosh, I was. Woo, like I said, my hands were, and and it's funny. I do this every time before I'm about to go on the stage, and if I'm standing next to Cara or Eternity, like, they know me well enough to know that I'm always a little bit nervous before I go on, and I'd be like, y'all, look at this, calm down, you're gonna be fine. But yeah, it was, and I guess because it was my first time ever really doing my work in front of everybody, and I was looking at all these other writers and poets, because to do the Vagina Monologues, they give you a script, that you follow. You just have to put some feeling into it. But to read my own stuff, I mean, it's one of those things where you understand what it means to be naked in front of a crowd, and it's just, now it took me some years to learn that that's what makes that connection between you and the audience. Like, you have to be willing to do that. But yeah, like, it was a lot. It was like questioning my ability, questioning the content of my stuff, and then the eyes that were on me, because Satori is not big, you know, and I'm one of those people who I actually get more nervous in front of small crowds.
Right.
Yeah.
It's intimate. Yeah.
You put me on a stage in front of a large venue where I can't see people's faces, I'm fine.
Right.
But yeah, like when you have like so many eyes on you and you're right there, it's just like, okay, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? And I say that, you know, and I want to let people know too that, you know, I absolutely do get nervous. I do still get stage fright, because the one time that I did not, because for a while I was a little bit cocky. I was I was something else. But yeah, I was a little bit cocky, and one night I was so cocky that I got on stage and was doing my little spiel and forgot my whole poem.
Blank. Oh man.
So yeah, I think the whole thing with nervousness is probably this mechanism for me to make sure that I stay humble enough to where I'm not gonna skip practice. I'm not gonna just know that I have it when I get on stage. I'm not gonna automatically feel like everybody's gonna dig this, you know. And I'm gonna have to work to gain that respect from the audience, because the audience don't owe you nothing. You know, they owe you absolutely nothing. You the one that has to be on stage. So
that's a good point. That is a very good point. Wow.
So yeah, I'm a firm believer in when I'm on stage, I am working for that crowd. So yeah, that's how I stay grounded.
Okay. All right. No, that'll definitely do it to you. Ooh, all right. Well, that leads me to a little bit more of a personal question. The name you chose. Everyone has their own identity, or in some cases, your alter ego. In poetry, you chose catharsis. What does that word specifically mean to you, and why did you choose it?
Well, it actually was funny how it came about, because when I first started doing poetry events, I was just Roz. The very first CD that I ever recorded, the only full-length CD that I recorded, is just Roz. And yeah, that CD it's something else. Like I wish I could go back and redo it and work on my delivery. I'm like, I like the content, but it's like I need to do this again and that again. But yeah, like I can perform it better now. But anyway, I'm sorry. But I was just Roz, you know, for years. But then when Powerlines formed, I remember the night we were all sitting. Well, let me go back. Let me stop. It was one night after we had decided to become a group, and we were having a meeting because we were working on how we were going to announce it, what we were going to do, what stage names were going to be, and stuff like that. And I'm almost certain you've probably heard of Alfred Ward. Yeah, he was the one who gave me the name, because he said every time I hear you perform something, it's almost like a release. You know, it's like you having to get something out. So he's like, I think you should be named Catharsis. And I was like, okay. And it just stuck with me, and it actually kind of made me go a little bit deeper with the type of poetry that I wrote. Because I mean, when I started, I had begun to figure out, you know, that I can say this and I can say that, and I can get some oohs and ahs, and I know how to, you know, use that shock value. Right. But when I finally said, okay, and there was an event that I went to that actually changed me a little bit. It's called Southern Fried, and it was a poetry slam contest. It's annual. And this particular year, it happened to be in New Orleans. And I was on the slam team. It was K. Marie, it was Celeste. Who else am I leaving out? It was 5 of us. But chalk it up to my old age. 5 of us. But yeah, like we went to Southern Fried, and I looked at some, like, it was there in New Orleans, and it is something about New Orleans poets. Not taking anything away from every other poet that I've seen, because I have admiration for a lot of them from a lot of different areas. But it is something about New Orleans poetry and this feeling and this raw appeal of it, you know. And And now, mind you, the slam was regional, so it had like poets from all over the country,
man.
who were there. But I remember watching a few of them, and I was just like, I mean, they would get on stage, and they had the audience. Some people were in tears, some were just like trying to comfort themselves. And I'm watching these people on stage, and it's like you can tell that they're leaving everything on stage. And I said, I'm not hitting another stage until I can figure out how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my mind, I had not reached that level yet. And that's not saying that I feel like I'm up here, because I feel like I'm always trying to improve. But it's like I get it. And I understand how it kind of goes back to that you have to be willing to be naked in front of an audience. And they were that, and I was just like, wow. I was amazed at that. So it kind of ties in with the name Catharsis for me, because anything that I write, I want to have somebody be able to connect to it, and I think when excuse me, can we edit that out? But
Gotcha.
But probably one of the first poems that I was my most open and honest and naked with was after my grandmother passed, and I called the poem Providence. And it took me, like, she passed in 2014, and it took me probably an entire year of performing that piece before I could get through it without crying. And it was because, like, my grandmother was her and my mom and my dad, they're my heroes. But it was something different about my grandma, because there's a part in the poem where I say, she got through 2 strokes and they didn't think she was going to be able to do it. She was dealing with dementia and COPD, and she was still, she had her leg amputated, and I remember after that operation when she had her leg amputated, I walked into her bedroom and she was standing up on her right leg. Like getting her stuff, getting dressed and all of that.
Wow.
And to me, it just like the night that she passed, I'm like, not my grandma,
Right.
And I can remember I was in the hospital room with my mom, and I'm going off on a tangent again, but it's like when we were in that hospital room and the doctor came out and he's like, we gonna have to call it. We've been at this for about 45 minutes. Like, he was real cold, real flat, and it's like, mind you, it was after 1 a.m. So I get that you done been at work all day. I get that this is common to you, but you need to understand, that if you live long enough and you're gonna be on the other side of that table one day.
Right.
So you need to understand, how to deal with people. Now, I got my mom right here, and and she's breaking down, she's crying. I'm trying to console her, but I can remember literally wanting to come across the table at that doctor,
right,
because of how he was so insensitive. And so I took all of that. I took all of that to everything that I was experiencing, like while we were in the room, like everything that I saw and heard and felt, like flashbacks of being with grandma when I was a kid, like all of that stuff. I tried to take all of that and I put it into that poem. To this day, my mom has never heard it, and I don't think I'll ever play it for her, because I don't think she could take it.
Right.
But every time I have done that piece, there's been somebody in the audience who said, and I've been performing it since 2014. There's been somebody in the audience who said, "Oh my God, I went through the same thing," and I've looked out and I've seen people, in tears, and it's sometimes like when I make that poem a part of my set, it's like I always have to say, okay, I got to pick this mood back up,
right?
Because I didn't mean to bring it down as much as I did. It's like I was just trying to tell my truth, but yeah, but that's the poem where I figured out, like, okay, this is how you be honest. This is how you be open, and if you break down and cry, then so be it.
Right.
You just got to get through it. Because somebody somewhere needs to hear that and know that they're not the only ones who experienced it. And I get my confirmation when I have somebody run up to me afterwards and hug me and tell me I needed to hear that. So Yeah, that's how I got the name Catharsis. And there are other poems that I've written that are really personal, and I've performed them. But what I notice now is that it takes me longer to write poems because I'm kind of searching for something like that's on that level, you know. And I think a lot of times I'm my biggest critic.
Naturally,
and I think I am, and I'm like, okay, unless I can show, you know, this kind of emotion in it or that kind of emotion, I need to go back and work on it, you know. Now, don't get me wrong, I have poems that are like fun pieces. One thing about our group is that, you know, we like to have fun with the crowd. So I never want to do, you know, stuff that's going to keep you down here all the time. You know, so I'm always going to try to have fun when I'm on stage, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I understand now. I gotta step my game up in certain areas every time I write a piece. So that's what I try to do.
Okay. Do you think it teaches you a sort of versatility?
It does. It does, because I kind of stuck to probably the same 2 or 3 themes early on, but I try to now expand a little bit. There's one that I have about my mom. There's one that I have about, you know, myself and everything that I dealt with growing up. There's one where, and this is one of my older pieces, but still one of my favorites. I call it "Message from My Heart." It's where I compare like going through a breakup to the 5 stages of grief, and I try to hit every one of those. So yeah, I try to mix it up a little bit.
Okay, all right. Now, this current year, 2019, like I said, was a year of a few accolades. You won Best Spoken Word Artist.
Oh gosh.
My question isn't with the actual award ceremony, because you've been to plenty venues. My question in this is, right before they announce who won, what went through your mind?
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you, that day, that whole day. Well,
because you, not to cut you off, you guys performed there as well, didn't
we did.
I thought so, right?
We did. So there was like this sort of, it wasn't heavy, but it was intense, and it was kind of, okay, well, you know, we realized the crowd that we're in front of, and and it's like we want to go in, we want to kill it, you know, and so that meant, you know, like, and everybody had, you know, their own jobs and stuff. So first, the willingness of everybody to still get together like after 5, after 7, you know, and still rehearse into the night, and still got to get up and go to work the next morning. I'm grateful that they wanted to do that, because, you know, the folks would be like, no, I gotta go to work, we ain't doing this, right. You know. So I'm grateful for the people that I have around me. So there was that, you know, and getting on stage, and again, it goes back to the stage fright and hoping, you know, that I do well with that. But the whole day of the awards, I mean, first I'll say that just to be nominated, and I know that sounds cliche, but just to be nominated, I never pictured it.
Right.
I never pictured it. And and then it's like the day of the ceremony, you know, like we get there, we're early, and, you know, I'm like, all right, y'all, let's go close to the stage or wherever. Let's run through the piece and da. I'm probably getting on everybody's nerves, but so I'm like, let's go rehearse the piece. So we walk to this area that's near the stage, and we see all of these awards lined up. And I said, nope, I can't be in here. I'm like, no, we got to go back out. We got to go back out. I'm like, nope, can't do it. And so, like, one thing, like, and you and I talk, like, I do love me some whiskey. And I had access to plenty of Crown Black that night. But and sometimes before I go on stage, I'm not gonna lie, I will have a little bit of something that just kind of calm my nerves a little bit. But I never want to get to the point to where I'm on stage and I'm like, no, not gonna do that. But I knew, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a little bit of Crown and a whole lot of water, because it was just like my nerves were shot. They really were, because I of course I wanted the award, but there's this uncertainty, and so I'm sitting there, and the award was one of the last ones to be announced that night. And so I'm sitting there like this the whole time. And so then they bring up, they say, next, the category for best spoken word. And so a friend of mine, one row in front of me, she said, I'm about to film your reaction this whole time. I'm like, oh, Jesus. So I'm like, okay, if I don't win, I can't look crazy. It's like I got a camera on me, But what went through my mind when they actually announced it and they said my name, I almost fell out of my chair. I ain't gonna lie, because it was just like I couldn't believe it. I absolutely could not believe it. I had never been more humbled by anything. It was just like this culmination of, first, the people that were there with me. These are people who had been with me through this whole journey. Whether or not, and I don't know that I tell them this enough, but they had been with me. Like whether it was me just seeing them on stage and being inspired by what they do. Here they are with me. Right. So that was something in and of itself. But it was. It to this day, it still is just like I can't believe. It was shocking. It was absolutely shocking. I was, of course, I was very happy to have it, but there was a part of me that was like, yeah, I may not get this, because I just, when I think about why I started, it was one of those things of, at first it was, I just want to get some stuff out, and. One thing I always say before I start, I say, this for me is therapy, and a pen and a pad is a little bit cheaper than a therapy session. Not knocking therapy sessions, because I believe that psychologists and therapists are needed. I believe in that, but sometimes to just sit and to write stuff out, it is exactly what you need. It was what I needed after my grandmother passed. But that night, if I had it to live over again, I absolutely would not change a thing at all. I wouldn't change a thing. And I was happy that somebody filmed it for me, because I was able to show my parents, and because they couldn't make it out that night, I was able to show them, and yeah, it was something. It was something. To this day, I still can't believe. So yeah.
All right. Well, now transitioning to my next question. Obviously, Powerlines Poetry 7-year anniversary, incredible. Especially with this past year. Like I said, meeting each of you has been a humbling experience within itself. So I can appreciate the glue that you guys have, because I see it. And you can feel it when you guys are around. All of you may not be in the same venue, but when you guys are there, there's like a glue within the glue. I don't know if that makes sense, but I brought that up to say this. The name Powerlines Poetry. What made you choose that name, and what does it mean specifically to you?
That name was created by Celeste.
Really?
Yes. Celeste is one of the most creative people I know. It's just, if you ever just listen to any of her poems, it's like, are you just a thesaurus? I mean, it's just she's incredible. And it was one of those nights, all of us as poets, before we even formed the group, we rarely went out to clubs and stuff to hang out. We were always at somebody's house, cooking, having a couple of drinks, writing sessions, things like that. That's what we did on weekend nights. And so we were just kind of playing with the idea of starting a group. And Celeste said, Powerlines. Yeah, you should name it Powerlines. And so after everybody left that night, like it just kind of, it stayed right here. And I was just like, I said, I wonder if Celeste would mind if we use that name, and let's go ahead and do this. You know, and I talked to her, she's like, yeah, you know, yeah, go ahead. And it just formed from there. As far as what it means to myself, and I don't know, you know, and that's something I don't think I've ever asked anybody in our group. I don't think I've ever asked that question. I don't think I have. But as far as what it means to me, and it may sound a little corny, but
let's do it.
Yeah, it's like there's a tagline on our Facebook page. You know, lyrically electrifying. There's power in our speech. You know, and it's like there's like this. I want us to showcase this electricity on stage. But I also I want people to know, you know, and this is, you know, my definition of it, like I feel like there is power in our words, like in general there is power, and there's life and death in the tongue, you know. Exactly. So when you spit in poetry, you're speaking life, you know. And so I to me it means understanding that power that is in your speech. Okay. So yeah, that's what it means. And I also want to mention, you know, I was very happy and humbled to get that award. But the group as a whole was also presented with an award from the Mobile Arts Council this year.
I remember that. Yeah, that was a fancy place, man.
It was crazy, but we received the award for performance artists from the Arties, the Mobile Arts Council, and it was funny because they sent an email and they said, hey, you know, block off this date because you guys have been selected to receive this award. I was like, oh my God. So so yeah, like and I was it's just, you know, amazing to have the group, you know, be awarded like that, you know, and to help kind of celebrate that eternity. He came up with the idea of like we wanted like some newer necklaces, some newer chains, and so he found like some ones that were gold, and that displayed our logo on the front, but on the back it said 2019 Artie Award winner, and it had everybody's like personalized name on it. That's dope. And we were able to present those to everybody at our Code Red event back in June. So okay. So yeah, that's what I mean when I say I am surrounded by some amazing talent. I really am, and I think it was one of those things that was meant to happen because we mesh really, really well, you know, and yeah, I thank God for it. I do. I do. I don't think, like, one of the things that I said on stage, and I meant every word of this, one of the things that I said on stage when I accepted the award for the PCS honors was, you know, like, this was not me, this was us. I don't think that there would have been a Catharsis without Powerlines around me, you know, and I absolutely do mean that, you know. So yeah, like if it were not for the group, because we have this thing of, you know, like we challenge and we push one another. I don't think I would have been standing there that day without the folks around me. So yeah,
that's sweet. That's sweet. I mean, not trying to, you know. I just didn't have another adjective ready. But no, that's awesome. Now, this next question is a little bit more personal towards you, because 2019 is closing. So obviously, next year, 2020. See what I did there? Like, what new endeavors would you like to partake in? And this could be as far as Roslyn Spencer or as Catharsis. Like, what would you like to see in the next year?
As Roslyn Spencer, I would like to see I would like to see myself growing or continuing to grow in real estate. there was something I had seen on Facebook, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact quote, but it basically said, don't give up now because a year ago you were wishing to be where you are now, and it was absolutely true, And so what I'm hoping is that, I continue to meet and build relationships with more people, that I'm able to help more people find their dream home, and things of that nature. What I'm hoping to also happen as well is probably toward the end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021, I want to be able to go back to real estate licensing school and work on my brokerage license, because eventually I do want to become a broker. It's like I want to continue to grow. I want to, as Roslyn and Catharsis, I never want to be comfortable. I don't want to stay in the same place. Like, being uncomfortable is what made me go into real estate full time. Mm-hmm. Being uncomfortable was what made me start writing on a different level. So I'm thankful for those uncomfortable moments, and I want to continue to grow as a real estate agent. As a poet, I want to continue to grow in that area. I'd like to be able to write poems a lot more quickly. I'd love to be able to turn them out a lot quicker. But I want to see Powerlines continue to grow. I want to see us do different types of events. I want to continue. Our signature event is shock therapy. Eternity gave us that name too, and I want to continue to do that. I want to see each of us, in the group. I want us to each have our own release. I want to see Cara. She's probably gonna kill me for this. I want to see Cara with a podcast. I want to see Cara with.
Yes, I agree.
She has this thing, man. Like this voice and this
presence.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep. And it's like people are drawn to her. Mm-hmm. They really are.
She's so warm.
She is. And like she started, with these videos that she does weekly. And it's like I sit back and I look and I see how people are responding. I'm like, I want to see her do this and I want to see her do that. So but I feel like it's coming. I know that she's working on a couple of things. I don't want to give away too much stuff, but I want to see her. I want to see her with a podcast. I want to see her with another CD release. If you have ever heard her in a studio and record a track, it's just like, really, like she talk about me because she has this one Monday mornings. She says she's tired of that piece, but she recently re-recorded it right before she and I had a feature in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And I keep it on my phone and I play it like, I listen to most music, because it's like her voice and her inflections and then the way it hit with the music that she was performing over. I was like, oh my God, So yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see, like, Eternity is ridiculously talented.
Man.
It's just
Shout
like,
out to Novocaine.
I mean, like, it's just to sit back and to listen to his tracks. Like, and I got a lot of his stuff on my phone, and depending on what mood I'm in is what track I'm going to listen to, that day. But as a matter of fact, one day I was angry and I'm driving, so I'm listening to Xanax from the Evolutionary CD. I'm like, but yeah, like, I want to see him continue to grow. And with our newer members, like the raw talent, I mean, it's just somebody told me when it came to Delonte, and this person asked to remain anonymous, but she said, whenever I hear him speak, it's like I'm watching a man have a conversation with God. Mm-hmm. And I said,
I can see that.
Yeah. I said, my gosh, with with Raina, she has this. There's this one poem that she has, and I don't know the correct title for it, but I know she sings a part in it where she says she's talking about braids and she's getting her hair braided by her mom, and it's like her voice when she hits that chorus of it, I'm like, oh my God, it moves me every single time. Diction Canary, if you have ever seen her, or if you have never seen her perform, the first time that you do, you're gonna be like, you're in for a treat. Like she's so full of life. She really is. She is so full of life, and it's amazing to watch it come out on stage. It really is, and that, oh gosh, forgive me, if I'm going on, for too long. With Hayes, he's not here in Mobile, but I've
shout out
seen
to DJ Hayes.
Yeah.
Got him coming up soon.
Oh, cool. Like I've seen him grow, and I've seen him grow as a performer, and to watch what he does, it's just like, wow, and I know I've mentioned Celeste, but like Celeste just has this vocabulary that is just out of this world. So when I think about Catharsis and Catharsis the poet, it's like I can't think of that, by myself, or see me by myself. It's like I see all of us, and we're all connected, because again, it goes back to me saying, there wouldn't be a Catharsis without the group around me. So when I see, or when I look to the future, I see all of us, growing as a group, and solo as well. So yeah.
All right. Okay, so going to the next question, because I genuinely see the happiness when you're talking about your troop mates. Is you light up when you're talking about them. Like you're proud and you're happy for them at the same time, which is that's much needed. I know that feeling, and shout out to Ray Dub, shout out to Eternity, Delante, Celeste. We're gonna get up with you, Diction Canary, DJ Hayes. By the time this comes out, I've probably already recorded them, because I've been on it. But thank you guys personally for allowing me to get each of you. And you guys all are so warm. I slide in everybody's DM, and I'm like, I hope they say yeah, and they're like, yeah, I'll be glad to. And I'm like, yes. So that's awesome. All of you are warm like that.
Thank you so much.
All right. So my next question: before you do a set, do you have like a ritual or like a mantra or anything that you do just to kind of warm me up besides a shot?
Yeah.
Do you do anything before you get started?
There are times when, usually because we like when it comes to our own shows that we're presenting, all of us are working. Whether it's getting people seated to where they need to be, whether it's making sure everything is right on stage, all of us are working. And and sometimes what I have to do is like take about 60 seconds and just kind of go off into a corner, especially if I'm going to perform a piece. There's a piece that Eternity and I do, and it's called Blackout. And if I know that he and I are going to perform that piece, I need a minute to kind of go off and just kind of wrap my mind around what it is I'm about to do and what it is I'm about to present, and I'm a believer in you cannot rehearse too much, even if you're rehearsing up until the last second, like I'm going to constantly go over it. Let's just until I get on stage, and it's not until after I get off stage that I'm like, I can breathe,
Catharsis.
Exactly. If we have been asked to feature someplace, first, what we'll do, like as a group, is decide, okay, like we'll kind of try to gauge the crowd,
okay,
and see what it is that we want to present, and then based on that, okay, all right, now I know I gotta do this, I gotta wrap my mind around that. This is what I need to perform, and again, it's like I'll find that corner for a few minutes, and then I'll try to just bring some focus. Sometimes I pray, sometimes I just kind of sit there and in silence, and sometimes I'm literally like, Lord, don't let me forget my words. Don't let me trip up. Don't let me knock down the microphone. I've done that before. Just let me get through it. So that would be what I like to do, like right before I perform, and then I try to breathe and calm that down. So yeah.
All right. So this one might take a moment. It's an inflection question.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, being a poet, you like to think outside the box. So I'm asking yourself to view yourself outside of yourself. Inception. So what would what would the leader in you, if it was to give advice to yourself, what would the leader in you tell the follower in you?
It's funny. When I think of that question, I think of it in the opposite way.
Go for it.
Like, what would the follower in me tell the leader in me?
Okay. Let's
do
it.
Because I'm a firm believer in you cannot lead unless you learn to follow. You cannot. You can have people who are placed in positions of leadership just by default, and some, because of that title alone, they become more of a boss than a leader. And to me, a boss is somebody that's doing this and telling you need to, but they're not setting the example, and it goes back to lead by example. You have to show that you like what it is that you're asking from these people. You got to be willing to do yourself. So that is the advice that I would give the leader in me, is just like, understand, if you asking somebody to go to war for you, you got to be able to sacrifice and do the same thing for them, and it's kind of, I'm trying to figure out how to answer, what would the leader tell the follower? The leader would tell the follower, I would think not to be afraid to step into a leadership role, not to be afraid of it. Don't run from it. It's one of those things about, it makes me reflect on the being uncomfortable. Again, don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. Right. That's when, like, growth, that's when your growth is coming, and understand that you do have the ability to do it. I would also say, don't let anybody shape your destiny. Don't let anybody tell you, well, I think that you're limited in this. I think you'd be better suited to do this, and this. Don't ever take that and for what you know and believe in inside you. That would be probably the biggest thing that I would tell the follower in me is, don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it.
The enemy of creativity is complacency. So
yes.
I agree. I agree. All right. So that brings me to one of my favorite questions, that, because like I said, if you've watched a Business Minute with me, my questions are pretty different. But seeing that this is a special occasion, I wanted to switch them up a little bit. So this one in particular, if you had to explain your poetry in one word, what word would you choose? Besides catharsis. That's cheating.
In one word, therapy. Therapy. Because a lot of times it is absolutely needed. I reflect on, I go back to that Providence piece that I wrote about my grandmother, and it actually took me 6 months to write that poem after she passed. But almost every day for those 6 months, I was steady writing stuff out. It was like I was getting things out. Now don't get me wrong, I had a support system around me, but there are times when I think we as humans just feel like, nobody wants to hear this, even though you do have people around you who are very supportive. But we get in these mindsets, no, nobody wants to hear this, so I'm about to write this out. I'm not about to bother anybody. I'm about to write this out. And so that's what it means for me, therapy.
Okay. All right. Now, switching gears back to Powerlines.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, upcoming year, 2020, never know what it holds. So where would you like to lead Powerlines specifically 2020? Do you have any specific concrete goals that you would like to see this next year?
Honestly, when it comes to solo releases, when it comes to everyone having their own set of work, their own bodies of work, everyone possibly having their own website and their own merchandise. It's like any one of the people in Powerlines, I know could do well on their own. I know they could as a solo artist, and I want to be able to. I want people to be able to see, that they they're actually. I want them to continue to grow, and I want them to continue to spread their message and their poetry. As far as events, I want to see us continue to build our brand with Shock Therapy. I want us to continue to perform at venues in this city. I want us to branch out into others. I want to continue to grow the group. I want to. This is gonna sound a little bit, but like to this day, like it's kind of, I don't want to say weird, but it's something to sit back and think, wow, we did this, and look at the legacy that it's starting to build, and I want to continue to do that. I want to see it. I want to see it take on a life of its own. I want to see it just continue to grow, and I want it to grow and to work for everybody who's a part of it.
Okay. All right. So my last question is a repeat question from my last interview. And honestly, it's because it's my favorite interview question. Because like I say on every interview, I dedicate this to the person listening. Going out on your own, doing what you did 7 years ago, takes a lot of heart. It's the scariest thing ever to step out into unknown territory while you're still growing at that, and to create something that you've created. I say the same thing goes for success. If you're going to pursue it, chasing it is scary. So what words of encouragement would you have today for that person who's listening to this or watching this and just needs that little push?
I have to go back to that poem again.
Let's do it.
I have to go.
I was hoping that was it. I was hoping.
Because that's something that's been ingrained in me since I was a kid. My dad, and forgive me for repeating this, but my dad, he gave me a copy of the poem "Don't Quit," and I still to this day do not know who wrote that poem, but there is a line in it that says, "Rest if you must, but don't you quit." And there are times, and there have been times, whether it was through work or whether it was through poetry, through working, like, oh gosh, I got this happening and that happening, and oh my God, what am I gonna do, and da 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 da. But it's okay to get frustrated. You're not human if you don't get frustrated. You're not human if you don't get tired. But the important thing is, if you get knocked down, are you going to be able to get back up? I say that in my poem about my grandmother. The women in my family, I don't care how many times life knocks us down, we're going to get back up again. When it comes to poetry, there have been times that I was writing and gotten mad and just ripped up everything because I'm frustrated with it. I don't like the way it sounds, and I'm just through, and I'm so glad that I never stuck to the whole thing of being done and being through, because I did take a hiatus for a while. I did. I had stopped performing for about a year, and it was during that time that after we had left Southern Fried, I was like, I hadn't figured out how like, no, I'm not getting back on stage till I figure out, how to do that. But I have to go back to that poem. Don't, if it's something like that idea, and I think I said this in the first podcast, in the first Business Minute. If you came up with that idea, you got that idea in your head for a reason. That didn't just that wasn't just random. And I think it's important to stick to that and to see it through. Because if you had that idea and you didn't follow up on it, or you gave up on it too quickly, you're gonna always wonder what would have happened. Mm-hmm. And I would, because, and I've heard this on, I follow Goldcast on Facebook and Instagram, and I can't remember which actor or actress said it during the speech. If you're gonna fail at something, fail big.
Right.
Continue to get up, continue to work at it. But I mean, just keep going with it. There's a reason why you got that dream and that vision, and it is your duty to see it through.
All right. Well, Roz, if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, whether it be about poetry, whether it be about real estate, hopefully, or they just want to vent with you, because I had instances where people just wanted to talk one-on-one. Mm-hmm. How could they reach out to you?
Probably the best way to get a hold of me is through, I always got my phone on me. Social media is one way. I have my business page and the poetry page attached to Facebook, and instant messenger on there. For real estate, they can reach me through 251-732-3167. For anything concerning Powerlines as a group, I have everything on our website, powerlinespoetry.com. And probably another good way to reach us as well is powerlinespoets@gmail.com. So yeah, those are going to be kind of the quickest ways to get a hold of me. So
right.
Yeah.
I heard pigeons are coming back, so might be the new thing. No, I'm just kidding. But Roz, I appreciate you doing this again, coming out, because I was like, I got an audio, I got to get on video. I just got to get on video. So I appreciate you, coming out and doing this for me. So thank you again.
I thank you, because, like I said, the first time that we did it, after you asked me to come back, I went back and I listened to the first podcast. And what I loved about it is that you made me document my goals. And I feel like that was something that I needed, because it's easy to set a goal and say, I'm going to get there,
Right.
So it was one of those things you made me document it. And then when I went back and listened to it and saw that I had accomplished, a few of the things on that list, not everything, but a few of those things on the list, I was just like, wow.
In just a year.
So I thank you for having me both times. I really enjoy it.
All right. Well, hopefully we could do it again. I would like to get all of you, for a podcast, and not a business minute, because that would take all day. Mm-hmm. But just a podcast with just Powerlines, and just let y'all just go, just talk.
We will make that happen. We will definitely make that happen.
Yeah, because I would love to be the fly on the wall for that one. So, again, appreciate you. And if you tune in, that's it. 2020 podcast, Powerlines Poetry. Roz Spencer, man. Here again. And y'all be blessed. Man. Yeah. And that's it.
Man, that was fun.
I know.
That was fun.
I know. You know what? It's funny. You used that verbiage, Carr used that verbiage, and Eternity said the exact same thing. All right. Nervous?
A little bit.
Why?
I'm going to tell you, honestly, for as many times as I have been on a stage, I don't care how many times I get on a stage, jump in front of a camera or a microphone, I'm always just a little bit nervous. Yeah.
It's just a conversation, just us talking.
Yeah.
Just so happen to be recorded.
Yeah.
just so happened.
Just so happened.
Nah, you're doing great. What I normally do, because I see the nerves in you right now, I'm not going to start the interview just yet, so just talk with me a little bit, and then I'll jump into it out of nowhere when I...
Gotcha.
Because I could literally see the nerves.
I did.
I can literally see it. You don't look comfortable at all.
Oh, man. Oh man.
Oh man.
I got to. I would relax. I should have some whiskey, but yes.
Yo, what's your favorite brand?
Honestly, I love Jack Daniels. Love Jack Daniels honey.
Indeed. Let me ask you something about honey.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever tried to mix it with A&W?
No, I haven't.
We call it the creamsicle. Try it.
I was gonna say that sounds like a float.
It tastes like it. We stumbled on it on accident. Walmart didn't have anything else on sale except A&W, and Jack Daniels honey had just come out, so everybody was buying it. We were just happy to have a bottle. It was like a little small one, and we mixed it with A&W for my best friend's birthday, and it was, oh my God.
Oh wow.
We had to chill out because it tastes so good. You know, you stand up and you're like, wait a minute, blood alcohol level.
Exactly, because it's so, especially when like I have this thing when it comes to whiskey. Like I just drink it over ice if I'm not doing it neat.
On the Rizzox.
Oh yeah, and honey that will, like you don't taste alcohol in it. Yeah, like, but there's one, and I got a bottle because I celebrated a closing. And I said, I'm going to treat myself to this bottle of whiskey. It was called Uncle Nearest. And Uncle Nearest is actually a former slave who taught Jack Daniels the formula for his whiskey.
I heard that story, but didn't know he had a brand out.
Yeah, and it was when I first found out about it, it was hard to find. And I left my closing, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to get me some whiskey. I called the ABC store. They're like, we got 4 bottles left. I said, hold me one.
Right.
I'm on the way. And when I tell you that stuff is good, but that's one of those that's not gonna go quick. You know, that's gonna be, it's 100 proof for one.
You're drinking gasoline.
Basically. But yeah, that's one of those special occasion kind of whiskeys. Yeah, so I'm gonna hold on to that for a minute.
Yeah, you do a shot of that in celebration of something.
Exactly.
And get back to the rest of the stuff. When in college, all we did was drink vodka. So, why keep you hyped? So, yeah. But as I got older, I'm like, look, man, I can't be in the club bouncing all around and stuff. Like, I would like to just sit and chill. And it was like, well, sir, you would probably like whiskey. So the very first whiskey I tried was on my 22nd birthday. My dad's best friend bought me a bottle of Jack. And now the thing about my best friend's dad, he is a man of few words, but he likes to challenge you if you're gonna sit and drink with him. He'll talk with you. He'll pour a shot. He'll pour you a shot. Take a shot. He'll continue talking. Next thing you know, he pour a shot. Pour you a shot. And keep talking. And the conversation is always interesting. I absolutely adore talking to him. But by like number 4, you like, woo, you over here like me, wiping your forehead off, and he looks at you, you all right?
You're like, I'm good.
Right, like me not being no punk. I'm like, yeah, I'm straight. Man, yeah, drink us under the table.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he put me on that. I recently tried, what is it called? Evan
Williams.
Yes.
Evan Williams is something, but to me, if I drink too much of it, I'm gonna have the worst headache the next day.
I did. We did it straight, and I think I had maybe total. I know six shots because we were doing double shots, and I'm a Sigma, so 3 for the founder, so technically 6 shots. Man, I just remember the next day, like telling my best friend, like, look, we can't be doing this. We too old. We had to go to work the next day and everything. It was crazy. Man. It was, but yeah, I like Evans. There's another one I can't think of, but it tastes like a candy apple.
Jim Beam?
Yes. All right. You're a connoisseur. That's what I'm talking about. You're a connoisseur.
Have different ones for different occasions.
So do you have like a bar set up, or do you just have your variety?
Just a little bit of a variety. I don't have too much at one time, to be honest with you. Like when Crown releases special editions, like during the holidays, they'll do a caramel one. In the spring, they did one that I loved. It was peach. About the only Crown that's kind of hard for me to drink straight is Crown Apple. I
I
have
knew you was
to
gonna
mix
say
it.
I knew it.
I have to mix that one. But all the other ones, they smooth. Now Crown Black actually, that taught me a lesson. I thought that it was just a smoother Crown. I didn't realize that the alcohol content was a little bit higher in it. So funny story, and the first time I had it, I was actually about to get on stage at a poetry event, and exactly, and I cut up that night. I'll never drink Crown Black before going on stage now.
Man, I never tried Crown Black, maybe because I never came across it. But at that point, like I usually have just one bottle of something, and then I wait before I buy another bottle trying new stuff. And for a while, I was stuck on Paul Masson Peach.
A lot of people like that, yeah.
I was mixing it with the peach tea. Who does those? In the little orange and green label, I think it's Nestle. But
I think I know exactly.
The same people that make the green tea in the bottles.
Arizona.
I don't think it's Arizona because it's not glass. It's in a plastic bottle. But anyway, the peach tea with that was just
I bet it was.
Oh my God, I was
really
stuck on that for a while because it was smooth and it wasn't too much liquor content, so you could drink a couple cups and then still be good to go after you sit for a couple minutes. But yeah, that was my go-to for a minute. I got hung up on that.
Man, yeah, I digs me some whiskey now. I do it.
Right. And last night, my girl and I, we went to O'Dadley's.
Oh, yeah.
And got the Irish trash can. Now, I had the bariatric sleeve done, so my stomach is that big. So
gotcha.
Finished my cup. It took me about an hour and a half. Finished my $7 cup, and we went to go to Kazula's. And I couldn't walk into Kazula. I had to. We stood outside until I cleared up and everything, like sobered up and stuff. But we had a good time. Like, wasn't that many people downtown, but I don't know if you go to Kazula often. It was, man, they was kicking it in there.
On a Friday and Saturday night, yeah, it's usually quite a few people in there. That's one of my favorite spots to hang out in.
Man,
yeah.
I've gone a couple times, and each time it's like, I'm glad I came.
Yeah.
And it was some young lady singing. I don't know who she was, but she was singing Lauryn Hill, Frankie Beverly and Maze,
wow.
Cameo. She was just back to back, back to back, back to back, and I was just like, God,
man,
she had the pipes.
That sounds nice. It does.